It's 2 a.m. and your phone buzzes. It's a tenant and the heat is out again. You've got a 7 a.m. board meeting, a presentation over lunch, and your kid's sporting event is tonight. Does that sound like a role you want to add to your already packed life? I didn't think so. Stay with me for a few minutes and I'll share the exact strategy that's allowed me to collect regular 4-figure checks from real estate for the last several years, all without ever unclogging a toilet or meeting a single tenant. But before we jump in, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Look, most busy professionals understand that real estate is a powerful tool for building long-term wealth. The problem is, who has the time for what amounts to be a second job? If your schedule is already packed, the idea of managing a property is a non-starter. So what are the alternatives? The stock market can feel like a roller coaster, and a standard savings account basically ensures your money loses value over time due to inflation. On the surface, owning a single-family rental seems like a pretty straightforward strategy. You buy a house, do some renovations, and collect a few $100s a month in cash flow. But the reality is often much more complicated. A single eviction can wipe out years of profit. Trust me, I know. Major repairs always seem to happen at the very worst possible time, and you've got to constantly keep up with changing local regulations. So what is the alternative? It's a strategy called apartment syndication. And here's how it works. Instead of buying a property on your own, you pool your capital together with a group of other investors. An experienced team then uses that collective money to purchase a large asset, like a 120-unit apartment complex, that would be too big for any single person to manage alone. It's kind of like flying first class. You pay the ticket, the professionals handle the flight, and you get to sit back and relax. In any syndication, there's basically two main roles. First, you have the sponsor or the general partner. They're the ones who find the deal, secure the financing, and execute the business plan. That could mean addressing deferred maintenance, performing renovations, adding amenities, or even repositioning the asset. The second role is the limited partner, and that's you. As a limited partner, your involvement is much, much simpler. You provide a portion of the capital needed to acquire and improve the property, and that is it. Your job is simply to invest and then collect what we call mailbox money. One of the most powerful aspects of this strategy is the tax benefits, which can feel almost too good to be true. As a partner in a large real estate deal, you get access to sophisticated tax advantages like depreciation and cost segregation. Unlike your regular W-2 income, which is taxed before you get your paycheck, the income from a syndication can sometimes appear as a paper loss on your taxes, even while you're receiving actual cash distributions. So let me walk you through a hypothetical 5-year timeline based on a real deal. Let's say you invest $50,000. The team buys a property, and over the next few years, they make improvements and raise rents. In year 4, they might refinance the property. Thanks to its new higher value, you can get your entire $50,000 investment back, tax-free, and still own your share of the property. Then, if they sell in year 5, your share of the profits can turn that initial $50,000 investment into a total return of around $110,000, or a 2.2 equity multiple, meaning you more than doubled your investment over the hold period. Or if the sponsor keeps the property, you get an infinite return and reinvest your capital into another deal, starting the process all over again. Now, it's important to understand this is not a liquid investment. Your money is typically invested for around 5 to 7 years, so you should think of it as growth capital, not money you'll need to pay next month's bills. Also, your returns are highly dependent on the skill of the operator. That's why it's crucial to vet them thoroughly. Look at their track record, how much of their own money they're investing, and how conservative their financial projections are. That's far more important than a flashy pitch deck. Personally, I have a strict checklist that I use to filter deals. I won't even consider an investment unless they're investing a significant amount of their own money, say around 5% of the total equity. I also like to see that the sponsorship team has experience through at least one full real estate cycle. Finally, I look for conservative assumptions, like projecting a high vacancy rate, even if the property is nearly full. Only if a deal passes these tests do I dig deeper. If you want some help vetting, I put together my personal checklist for evaluating sponsors and deals. It's the same one that helped me avoid a couple of investments that did not turn out too well. If you'd like a copy, it's completely free to download and you can grab it in the link below. It'll help you ask the right questions and feel confident when talking to operators. Another benefit of this scale is the level of automation. Professional operators use sophisticated property management software that can handle everything from notifying tenants about package deliveries to scheduling maintenance and collecting rent electronically. It streamlines operations, which means fewer problems and no late-night calls for you. This scale also brings stability. Think about it. If you own one rental house and the tenant moves out, your rental income drops to zero. But if you're a partner in, say, a 120-unit complex, one vacancy is just a small blip on the overall cash flow. For you as a limited partner, the effort is the same, but the investment journey is much smoother and much less risky. Essentially, syndication gives you access to the same type of institutional-grade investments that giant financial investment firms pursue. They target these large properties for the same reasons: predictable income, the ability to increase value, and significant tax benefits. Syndication allows you to participate in that world, not with a 9-figure net worth, but with a much more accessible investment. For many successful professionals, the biggest challenge is psychological. We're used to being in control, and trust me, I get it. But with this type of investing, you can embrace being passive. The irony is, by letting go and letting experts manage the asset, you can scale your investments much further and much more quickly. This frees up your time to focus on your career and family without the added stress of property management. So let's talk more about that refinance bonus. The strategy is to renovate the property, which allows a team to increase rents and make the entire complex more valuable. When they get it reappraised at that higher value, they can take out a new, larger loan. That new loan pays off the original debt and can often return a large portion of your initial investment, while you maintain your ownership stake. Large apartment complexes also provide excellent protection against inflation. Unlike many other investments, rents can be adjusted with each new lease, often annually. This means that as the cost of living goes up, your rental income can rise with it. Meanwhile, the original loan on the property is a fixed amount, so inflation effectively reduces the real value of that debt over time. Of course, no investment is without risk. A deal can run into trouble if the sponsor uses too much debt, underestimates expenses, or if there's a major economic downturn. That's why you should never invest money that you might need in the short term. A good rule of thumb is to limit your investment in any single deal to a smaller percentage of your net worth, typically no more than around 10 to 15%, especially if you're more inexperienced. So how quickly can this scale? I personally know an investor who treats it like a savings plan. He automatically invests a portion of every bonus he gets. Over time, he's quietly become a partner in over 1,200 apartment units across several states. He's leveraging the high income he spent years creating to build wealth and invest in assets that generate even more income, all while his money is working for him around the clock. Ready to take that next step? Here is a very simple, straightforward plan. First, download the checklist I mentioned and get familiar with the questions you should be asking. Then, find a half hour in your calendar to schedule a discovery call with a syndication sponsor. When you can, ask them 2 critical questions. Tell me about your worst performing deal and what you learned from it, and how much of your own money do you typically invest in your own deals? Their answers will tell you almost everything you need to know. And if you'd like to see what these deals look like in practice, you can join my passive investor email list in the description below. I don't send spam, just occasional updates and information on deals that meet my personal investment criteria. The bottom line is this: you can build significant wealth through real estate without the headaches of being a landlord. You don't have to do it on your own. Apartment syndication offers a path to owning institutional-grade properties while you focus on your career and your life. The process is simple. Educate yourself, vet the operator carefully, and then let your capital go to work for you. Thanks so much for watching. If you got any value out of this video, do me a favor and like, subscribe, and share the content. It helps the channel out and gets the content in front of more people. I'd also love to hear your thoughts and answer any questions you have, so make sure to leave them in the comments below. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.